What's up YouTube, it's Zapdos TCG here, and thanks again for watching another TCG video on my channel. In this video we are gonna talk about tech cards. What are tech cards? Tech cards are cards that you can put in your deck in order to have a better matchup against a difficult matchup. For example, just to get it straight from the bat, let's say you're facing Buzzwole GX. Buzzwole GX is one of the most popular Pokemon you'll see at tournaments, and it does have a huge amount of HP, deals damage on the bench as well. So how do we get tech something in our deck in order to have a better matchup against Buzzwole? Things I can recommend is the Mew EX. This one is still legal because it's an XY promo that is still legal. We can abuse the versatile ability in order to copy something of the entire field. If we have the required energies, we can use that attack, and we are a psychic type, so Buzzwole will go down. The only things you'll need is actually maybe a choice band, maybe a DC. It all depends on what you have in play. But the thing I've seen most is that you have a Zoroark GX in your deck, you're having a trouble against Buzzwole, so you're running something like a Mew EX to copy the attack Righteous Beating in order to KO Buzzwole in one shot. It's as easy as that. If you do run something else, maybe you can run the Evolutions in Mewtwo. This Mewtwo has the Psychic attack. With this Mewtwo, you'll actually need more attachments on the Buzzwole in order to KO it. If it has 3 energies attached and you have a choice band, you can knock it out. If it has 2 energies and you have a choice band equipped with a Kukui, you can also knock this guy out. So Mewtwo is a little bit difficult. If you're running Kukui, this could be a better option since it's a 1-prize attacker. This is a fragile 2-prize attacker but can copy any attack. So let's say the opponent also has a Zoroark, maybe together with Buzzwole. Not that it will make sense here, but it's just an example. If they have Pokemon on their bench which you can copy the attacks from, if you have the required energies, you can use that attack. And a situation where, let's say you have fighting energies in your deck, you're running Zoroark Lycanroc, you can use Mew in order to copy maybe a Jet Punch later on in the game. It's just nice playing with Mew. It also hits for a weakness because it's a psychic type. More on Zoroark later, so we're still countering Buzzwole here. The Mew from Fates Collide with the Memories of Dawn is also a nice option, but this Mew can only copy the attacks of your bench, and they have to be basic Pokemon's attacks. So in the Tapu Bulu, this could be amazing, and the Passimian deck, this could be amazing. So this Mew could also be used. It's also really fragile, only 50 HP, but it does have free retreat, and it also has the encounter, which is kind of neat if you're dead drawing. Maybe you can get out the Tapu Lele out of your deck with that attack. They all need colorless energies. Actually, this Mew can also do some shenanigans, but you will mostly copy attacks from your side of the field because you do run double colorless energy in your deck. Talking about double colorless energy, you could also test out Latios. Latios with a DCE and a choice band will hit 120 on a Buzzwole and also 30 on the opponent's bench. So you can two-shot Buzzwoles with this Latios, but I've seen most people try out Mewtwo or Mew in order to counter Buzzwole if you're playing Zoroark, that is. Another option you could go to, let's say you're playing something like the Decidueye or something else that all have weak basics. Maybe you can try out Mr. Mime. Blocking the bench is always a nice thing because 30 on everything with that Buzzwole, 30 not 30 on everything, 30 on the active and 30 on the bench is quite devastating if you are all playing 60 HP attackers. So these are the tech cards. They are usually one-offs. Don't try to fit them all into one deck. Maybe you're running Mew, maybe Mewtwo, maybe this Mew, maybe Latios, or maybe Mr. Mime in order to counter Buzzwole. A good thing about running these psychic types, actually I just put those aside, is if you're running the psychic types that are still on the screen, you can also try out to knock out Galates in a Gardevoir matchup. That is also a great thing. So that is the way to counter Buzzwole. So more tech cards, so now you actually know what a tech card is. Tech cards are actually a lot of fun. You just put one in your deck, surprise the opponent, knock them out, their main attacker. So next up is Zoroark, another one of the most popular, actually this is the most popular Pokemon at tournaments right now. How do you counter a Zoroark GX? First thing first, you can play fighting. You can play, maybe if you're playing fighting energies, you can test out a Buzzwole in your deck with a strong energy and a choice band and stuff like that. You're dealing a huge amount of damage to Zoroark. So if you're playing a fighting deck, maybe you are playing Lycanroc, maybe something else, maybe you're playing rainbow energies, then you can try out one copy of Buzzwole. You can knock out the weak Zoroark with that. If you go second, poof, and that's already a great thing to countering Zoroark GX. So that could be the case. Another thing is you could run Parallel City. With that, the opponent can only have, I do think it's, they can only have 3 bench space, so with that they cannot bench their Pokemon anymore, and Righteous Beating will deal a ridiculously low amount of numbers here. So Parallel City is a great thing. It could get field blowed away, so that is unfortunate, but if you want a permanent option, you also have the Sudowoodo with the Roadblock ability if you want to lower the damage output of Zoroark GX. Other great Pokemon are Walls. You have Xurkitree GX that cannot get hit if the opponent has a special energy attached. Most of the time that will be a double colorless energy because yeah, Zoroark is just the best friend of the DCE, and if you have a DCE equipped to the Zoroark, actually the opponent, they cannot hit your Xurkitree GX at all. Xurkitree GX is just in lightning decks that if maybe you're playing Tapu Bulu and you just want to wall a bit, maybe you're playing something else, a lightning Raichu deck, then test out Xurkitree. It could be ideal. Also the lightning GX is a quite unique move to just set them behind prize cards. Also the Hoopa cannot get attacked by GXs and EXs, and most of the time Zoroark GX will be playing a bunch of GXs, so that could also be the case, but those are a little bit situational. You don't put those in any deck, just in any deck. You can just put them in wall decks, or maybe Sylveon decks, lightning deck, or maybe a darkness deck. So those are some options, some tech cards just to overcome Zoroark GX if you're having a lot of trouble with it. Next up, Greninja Break. Greninja was everywhere at a point in time, but then this came around. Giratina. This promo is still legal. It's an X and Y promo, and it actually shuts down all the abilities of every break. So that means no more giant water shurikens on your Pokemon. Let's say you're having a whole lot of trouble against the Greninja Break because they are sniping 60 on everything, having their Espeon and devolving everything. Well, that snipe will no longer be allowed if you have a Giratina. We've seen it in a lot of winning tournament lists because that is the best way to counter Greninja. So there's no more options here. You could play grass types or something, but this is the only way to counter Greninja Break. More countering here. So let's say you're facing Gardevoir GX, also quite popular, and Ho-Oh GX. These are Pokemon that attempt to have a bazillion energies attached to just knock everything out in one shot. How do you take care of that? If you're playing Rainbow energies or you're playing Water energies, then your good friend could be Tapu Fini. You can just shuffle that active Pokemon with a lot of energies back into the deck, and you're actually got rid of the problem. The good thing is that if they're playing Kiawe, they're using Kiawe, get all energies, they cannot attack that turn. You use Tapu Fini, get rid of that, and poof, the problem is solved. So Tapu Fini could be ideal. We've seen it in Greninja list and the Gliscopod list if they are playing Rainbow energies. So Tapu Fini is the ideal tech card if you're having troubles with Pokemon that have a lot of energies attached. Another thing is, if you want to counter Ho-Oh, there is one card in the format, in the standard format that is. If you have not noticed, we're focusing on the standard format. We're having the Zebstrika here, which can one-shot this Ho-Oh in no time. You do need DCE, but if you're running a DCE variant of a deck, maybe your one line of Zebstrika can actually get rid of this Ho-Oh in one shot. Poof, it's gone. So definitely test out Zebstrika if you're having a terrible matchup against Ho-Oh. Other tech cards is like the Tapu Koko. We've seen that a lot actually at tournaments where people are, if you're having trouble against Ho-Oh, what do? You give a DCE onto your Tapu Koko, and then you just give a choice band, equip it, and boom, you're dealing 100 damage on the active and 20 on everything else. So that is definitely a great strategy to get rid of Ho-Ohs. Talking about Gardevoir, we already talked about Tapu Fini, but how do you get rid of the Gardevoir? You have tech cards like Cobalion. Cobalion is the one with the Revenge Blast. Most of the times you will see that in a metal deck, maybe with Silvally. Maybe they're gonna play it with Counter Energy. If they're falling behind in prize cards and the opponent took a lot of prize cards, you can just use the Revenge Blast, get rid of Gardevoir in no time. So if you're playing metal or Counter Energy, test out Cobalion if you're having problems against Gardevoir. Other great things are for tech cards is the Clefairy. Clefairy here is one of those tech cards that you put in a deck like Tapu Bulu or maybe Gardevoir or anything that can just put multiple energies on the board. Maybe you can play it in Dusk Necrozma. It can copy any of the opponent's active attacks, which is great to just copy Dusk Necrozma's attack, Meteor Tempest, poof, you can just knock them out. Another great thing about the Clefairy is if the Gardevoir has a lot of energies, you can just abuse that, knock it out. Also things like the Ho-Oh, it'll use Phoenix Burn for 180, no problem, a choice band, and you get rid of the Ho-Oh. So Clefairy, one of the underrated tech cards in my opinion. So by now you already have an idea of what tech cards are. You have a lot of options here. I am a fan of Counter Energy. If you're playing Counter Energy, you have a whole sea of options available to you. You have Cobalion, if you want to go for metal types. You have the oh so popular Sudowoodo. You don't actually need Counter Energy for that. There's a lot of fighting decks with Max Elixir running the Watch and Learn. Watch and Learn is an attack that you can copy the opponent's attack that it used last turn. So things like Meteor Tempest with 220 damage, a Knuckle Impact from a Buzzwole, a Righteous Beating even. I did not mention this in the Zoroark GX counter. You can counter the Zoroark GX easily with Sudowoodo. It's just as easy as that. Knocking them out hasn't never been so fun. So this is one of the Pokemon that also runs with Counter Energy. More Pokemon here is the Keldeo with the Resolute Blade. If you're having trouble against Volcanion, Volcanion tends to bench a lot of Pokemon. You can use that to your advantage with Keldeo. If you're playing Water, or actually if you're playing Water, you're already having a good time against Volcanion, but it's an option if you're playing Counter Energy. More Pokemon is the Shaymin. So these are what I call the counter energy squad. This is the Shaymin with the rally back, which if a Pokemon got knocked out during your last turn, you actually deal 90 extra damage, and that is 120, which knocks out the Lycanroc GX. So if you're having trouble against Lycanroc at all, maybe try out Shaymin. So these are all the options I have available at the moment. There could be more options. Put them in the comment section below to help everyone out with their tech cards. Also, we did forget the Bisharp against Gardevoir, but it does not pretty much one-shot it. You'll need things like a Kui and Choice Band, I believe, because this calculates differently since it's a dual type. This one has resistance to darkness, but also has weakness to metal, so you cannot one-shot it, but it's a great option for Retaliate, dealing a lot of damage for a single energy. So Bisharp, also an interesting card. Next up is Espeon. If you are playing a spread deck, let's say you're playing Tapu Koko with the damage spread, or maybe you're playing Decidueye, so that could also be the case. With that, you can just easily spread around some damage. Let's say Tapu Koko, DCE spreading around damage, the Decidueye spreading around damage. Then you just devolve the Pokemon with 60 HP basic, so things like Zoroark will go down, Lycanroc will go down, although there's a 70 HP Rockruff on its way. What else? Beldums go down, Cosmox, actually everything that has 60 HP and is a basic, you can just devolve them and you're good. So Espeon EX has been seen a lot of play in a lot of decks, so definitely test it out. One of the best deck cards in the format. Next up is Oricorio. This is mostly for expanded. If you're playing against Night March, you can just abuse that. So Oricorio spreading around a lot of damage. Also against Vespiquen is that good. But in the standard format, we might just see a comeback, so I'm mentioning it here as well with the Supernatural Dance. We're ending the video here. We also have the Gearnut EX. If you're having problems against Pokemon that use these side effects on attacks, let's say you are facing, let me just give a little example. Oh yeah, the Espeon. The Espeon wants to devolve you. Well, if you have a metal energy attached to one of your Pokemon, well, those Pokemon don't devolve at all because only the damage gets activated when you have this Pokemon in play, and if you have a metal energy attached to. So that is awesome. So you need a metal energy equipped to, let's say, your Zoroark in order to not get devolved. So that is just a tech card if you're playing metal, good in Silph Valley, just to keep it in mind. And lastly, there is the new Oranguru, which does not a lot, but it saw tournament play and a Galissapod list where if you're having a lot of trouble against Sylveon or mill decks in general, this could be the resource management for you. The Oranguru can put 3 cards from the discard pile on the bottom of your deck. So in theory, you can never deck out with this unless they knock it out, and Sylveon even only deals 110 damage. So you're kinda good with Oranguru if you're having problems against Sylveon or mill decks in general, maybe wishy-washy, whatever. Anyway, this was it for today's video. Hopefully you learned a lot about tech cards. There is a bunch of them in the format. I'm just gonna put them all on the screen once again so you have an idea of how many tech cards actually exist. So my personal favorite is the Mew EX. I adore playing with it so much because copying everything is amazing. You just come out of nowhere, the opponent has a surprised look on his face, and you just win tournaments with it. Other tech cards I do like is Hoopa. I love it when the opponent cannot attack you. Things like Parallel City is also nice. I hate Giratina Break because it cost me the tournament in London. And just as you see it on the screen here, there's a lot of options available. If I forgot a few, definitely put them in the comment section as mentioned. And I will see you guys tomorrow with another TCG video. Hopefully having an awesome day, and I'll see you guys then. Peace out.